What's going on, guys? Overman back again, and today we're gonna talk about Far Cry Primal. So some time ago, Ubisoft held an event where they showed off their new game to the press, and looking at the gameplay from that event just confirmed my suspicions about Primal, that it was going to be a watered down version of Far Cry 4. In fact, I think Far Cry Primal is the Battlefield Hardline of the Far Cry series. Far Cry Primal is to Far Cry 4 what Battlefield Hardline was to Battlefield 4. A watered down experience that's ultimately not as fun as its predecessor. The funny thing is, Far Cry 4 is to Far Cry 3 what Battlefield 4 was to Battlefield 3, which is a sequel that's uber similar to its predecessor, but that doesn't really matter, I just thought I'd mention it. So anyways, before Hardline released, people were asking how can this be a Battlefield game without tanks and jets? And now people are asking how can this be a Far Cry game without guns? Because the guns are a big part of what made the last two Far Cries so much fun. Both of those games had a lot of repetition in them. You basically explored the open world and killed all the things. But what made it so much fun was all of the different ways we could kill all of the things. And it seems like Far Cry Primal is going to be severely lacking in this department. This game seems like it's just going to be a big shanking simulator, to paraphrase the Black Hokage. And I know some of you are probably typing in your comments right now, Overman, how do you know it's going to be boring? You haven't even played the game yet. Yes, while it is true that I haven't played Far Cry Primal yet, I've pretty much already experienced it. What I'm referring to is Far Cry 4. When you start tripping balls and you go to Shangri-La, your only weapon is a knife, and the same goes for all those little demons that you have to fight. And you command your sidekick Tony the Spirit Tiger to attack your enemies just like you do in Far Cry Primal. And the thing is, after a couple of minutes, the gameplay in Shangri-La gets pretty damn boring, because like I said before, it's just a shanking simulator. Now to be fair, I do think that Primal will be a little better than the Shangri-La section because it will have more depth and variety in its gameplay, because you'll have access to the bow, spear, and whatever else they give you. But really, how many different options are we gonna get? How many different options can you possibly fit in within the setting of a Stone Age game? And another similarity that this game shares with Battlefield Hardline is that a lot of people, myself included, felt that Hardline could have been a much cooler game had they just made it into a new IP instead of trying to fit it into the box that is Battlefield. And I can say the same for Far Cry Primal. By trying to fit Primal into the box that is Far Cry, Ubisoft has missed the opportunity to deliver a kick-ass Stone Age game. The idea of a Stone Age game is limited because it's supposed to be a Far Cry game. And Far Cry was designed for guns, not melee and bows. So by taking away guns and not adding anything that can deliver that type of replay value, we're all but guaranteed a lesser product. Which sucks because I haven't played any Stone Age games, and because of that, I was mildly excited in Primal when I first heard about it. But of course, this is basically just going to be a Stone Age mod for Far Cry 4. And the thing is, we could already use the bow and knife in the last two games. And yes, there's going to be more weapons than that, but like I said before, how many weapons are they going to fit into a Stone Age game like this? Oh, and something else I wanted to mention was that while the melee in the last two games was nice, I don't think it's good enough for me to be doing for the whole game. It's just something that I like to do sometimes. Which is yet another reason why this should have been a new IP. They could have built a new game that would have really taken advantage of the Stone Age setting and really enhanced the experience of using a bow, spear, knife, animal pals, or whatever else. Now I do want to give them a little bit of credit for trying something new and not letting this series go down the way Assassin's Creed did. However, they're doing the bare minimum here, so what's the point? Oh, and from what I've heard, Primal will not have multiplayer or co-op, two features that its predecessor had, which totally sucks because I would have been really interested to see how a Stone Age multiplayer game would play out, and I know a lot of people really enjoyed the co-op in Far Cry 4 as well. So everything is riding on the story, which of course I can't judge right now, and who knows, maybe Primal has a few tricks up its sleeve, but I wouldn't count on it. And contrary to what some have said about me, no, I don't hate video games, and I don't like to hate on games. I want them to be good, especially Far Cry, because I really like Far Cry. I got Far Cry 3 for my birthday a couple of years ago, and I think I had about 7 or 8 playthroughs. I just really liked that game. I thought it was epic. Certainly not perfect, but epic nonetheless. And then I played Far Cry 4, and I don't think it's a bad game at all. I think it's pretty decent. There are things that I like, and there are things that I don't like. But the biggest problem for me was that I played the crap out of Far Cry 3 and then got bored of it, which was totally fine with me since I definitely got a lot of fun out of it. But when I got Far Cry 4, I was just like, meh. Because while I think it's a good game, I was already tired of it just a few hours in because I basically played that game already. The whole time I had this overwhelming sense of deja vu, so I really couldn't get into it the same way I got into Far Cry 3. And while a sequel will obviously share a lot in common with its predecessor, I think a sequel in a franchise like this should greatly enhance the experience found in the old game and offer some new fun experiences as well. But now, let me finally say something that's not controversial on this damn channel. While I respect the Stone Age and Ubisoft's decision to set their game during this time period, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say dinosaurs are cooler. Dinosaurs are awesome. I bust a nut for dinosaurs ever since I was a little kid. Dinosaurs are awesome because they look like something straight out of science fiction or mythology, but they're not. Their history. These awesome, crazy creatures really lived right here on Earth. Fortunately, not at the same time as we did, or else we'd get wrecked, because dinosaurs are OP. But the thing is, now in the 21st century, we're OP. Forget a comet. We could destroy the whole world right now if we wanted to. Which is kinda scary, but anyways, the point is, Ubisoft could have done a sci-fi Far Cry game that put you in an open world filled with dinosaurs. And I think this is a great idea because there really hasn't been a game to capture our dinosaur fantasy. I mean, the zombie thing has been done to death and back, yes, pun intended, but we really haven't seen a lot of dinosaur games. Yeah, I know there's that game, Ark Survival Evolved, but that's a survival multiplayer game and it's got enough problems with it to make me lose interest in it. And while that game had a lot of buzz, it didn't really take the industry by storm the same way a dinosaur-based Far Cry could have. I remember a while back, Batman made a belated April Fool's video where he covered a fictitious wave defense game mode in the upcoming Battlefield game where you'd fight against dinosaurs. And part of what pissed people off so much about that video was that it sounded so freaking awesome and unlike anything we've ever seen. And Far Cry could have taken that so much further because it's the perfect game to bring the open world dinosaur theme to life. And I think they could have gone about this in two ways. The first way would be to do a $15 DLC similar to how they did Blood Dragon in the past. And if you recall, you could actually fight some dinosaur looking things in that game, and while that was cool, I think they could do a much better job this time around and make the fights a lot cooler, and of course include a lot more types of dinosaurs in this new standalone DLC to be released this February instead of Primal. And for the story, this time around, instead of parodying the old action movies, they could have done a parody of the Jurassic Park series, which I think would have been pretty damn cool. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Ubisoft hasn't tried to do another Blood Dragon type DLC, since that was one of the most well-received DLCs I've ever seen. Most people loved it, and the thing is, Ubisoft doesn't have such a good reputation right now. After Watch Dogs and the nonsense that's taken place with the Assassin's Creed franchise lately, most gamers aren't too fond of Ubisoft at the moment, and I think a good remedy for that would be to release another awesome DLC for a decent price. And if they really wanted to do a full game instead of a DLC, then they could obviously just take the Far Cry dinosaur idea and flesh it out a lot more, and then release that game in the fall of 2016 or sometime in 2017. And I'm saying that it should take that long because, as you might have noticed, games like The Witcher, Mass Effect, and Fallout take a while to be released, and that's okay, because making a good game takes time. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Ubisoft wants to do that. Far Cry Primal is being released a year and a few months after Far Cry 4, so Far Cry is basically being annualized now, which is bad because just look at how Assassin's Creed has been doing recently. Annualized games are bad for us because they mean less innovation and just lower quality products overall. However, it is a great way of making a ton of money since they'll just reuse most of the assets used from the last game, which happened to be used in the game before it, to make this new game, which is basically the old game with a few new bells and whistles. Brilliant, I know. Shame on you, Ubisoft. Shame on you. But it's your loss. Hopefully, some brave, clever, and ambitious developers can deliver that awesome open world dinosaur experience that many of us have been looking for. But that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to shank that like button. If you're not feeling too shy, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about Far Cry Primal. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter. Link in the description box below. That's it for me though, guys. Over, man, out.